They didn't even try to hide their laughter. At first, it was just a few snickers. Then louder, louder still. A ripple of mockery that spread like wildfire through the hot, dusty training grounds of Fort Briggs. She stood in front of them, silent, still, covered in sweat and dust, while a dozen new recruits pointed and chuckled at the absurdity of what she'd just asked. A rifle. Not just any rifle. She had asked for a chance to qualify with the same elite weapon used by the base's top special ops unit, the Black Talon. And that's when someone muttered, loud enough for the others to hear, "Maybe she thinks it's a toy." Another recruit added, "What's next?" "Pink camo." The group roared. But she didn't flinch, didn't blink, just adjusted her stance, dusted off her palms, and looked straight ahead. Behind her, standing quietly beneath the shade of the command tent, the base commander watched. His eyes didn't leave her face. Not once. Her name was Sergeant Ava Rios. 32 years old. 5'6". No visible scars, except the long one running just behind her right ear, hidden under her tied-back hair. No chest full of medals. No tales shouted from rooftops. But behind that silence was a storm. Ava had served 3 tours. 1 in Kandahar. 2 in undisclosed locations the military never talked about. She'd been embedded deep behind enemy lines, a tactical advisor in operations where silence was the only shield. She had lost her hearing for nearly 8 months after a roadside blast flipped their armored truck over a ravine. She crawled through fire to pull 2 teammates from the wreckage. She didn't report that part. And when her closest friend, Corporal Lena Hart, bled out in her arms after a failed extraction, Ava didn't scream. She stayed quiet, held Lena's hand, whispered promises into the fading warmth of her palm. After returning stateside, she took a demotion just to retrain the next generation. She didn't care for rank. She cared for precision, discipline, and honor, values the laughter on that field had already forgotten. That day, the recruits weren't mocking her skills. They were mocking her silence. The commander stepped forward finally, clipboard in hand, his boots crunching over gravel. The field went quiet. He looked at her, then at the crowd. "You think this is funny?" he asked softly. No one answered. "She asked for the Black Talon," he continued. "You laughed." A long pause. Then, with no more than a nod, he turned to the armory officer and said, "Give her the Black Talon." Silence fell like a stone. The rifle gleamed in the sunlight as it was handed to her. Jet black, angular, precise. Not a toy. Not something given lightly. Only 10 soldiers on base had ever qualified for it. She took it with steady hands. Checked the sight. Adjusted the grip. And then she moved. Her stance, flawless. Her breathing, measured. Her gaze, unshakable. She didn't speak a single word. But her shot did. One after another, the rounds tore through the targets with deadly precision. Not a single miss. Not a wasted motion. The crowd, once loud with laughter, now stood in stunned, reverent silence. One recruit, the same who'd cracked the pink camo joke, lowered his head. Another quietly whispered, "She's a ghost. A damn sniper ghost." The commander stood beside her, arms crossed, eyes never leaving the target range. "She doesn't need to speak," he said quietly, "because every bullet tells her story." Later that day, someone etched a quote into the wooden bench near the shooting range. "Silent fire burns deepest." No one ever laughed at her again. In fact, weeks later, she was asked to train a specialized unit. Those same recruits, who now stood straighter when she walked by. Not out of fear, but respect. The kind that couldn't be demanded, only earned. Some battles are fought with words. Others are fought in silence. But the ones who win often carry scars the world will never see. Where are you watching this from? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet warriors among us.